Now, the United States withdrew from the JCPOA, violated Security Council resolutions, and basically punished anybody who tried to observe international law. The EU, particularly the three countries, UK, France, and Germany, did not do anything to implement their own obligations. So we started these measures in line with JCPOA. We are not violating JCPOA. We are implementing remedial measures foreseen in the JCPOA itself. There is a report in The Guardian that Israel has been expanding Dimona. You know that Dimona is the only nuclear bomb factory in the Middle East. No other nuclear weapon factory. Israel is not a member of NPT. It's proliferator number one in the world. Nobody even catches Israel in terms of proliferation. It's aggressor number one in the world. It's occupier number one in the world. It's the user of force number one in the world. It's violator of human rights number one in the world. And nobody cares. It's a peaceful program. We had agreed to additional measures of monitoring in order to implement an agreement which had two pillars. Iran showing that it does not intend to develop nuclear weapons, and the West normalizing Iran's economic relations with the world. Actually, sanctions were lifted on paper, but the objective was to keep the sanctions that were not lifted more than to implement the lifting of the sanctions obligations. This was a problem during Obama administration. This was the problem during the Trump administration. They were out in the open trying to torpedo the agreement. And then finally they left the agreement. So we need to, and we have said it very clearly, that once everybody implements their part of the obligation, then there will be talks. And those talks will not be about changing the agreement or adding to the agreement, because all of the issues have been discussed. The time frames, they call it sunset, but these are time frames, regional issues, missile issues, all of them have been discussed and addressed. So we're not going to discuss those, but we are going to discuss how we can avoid and guarantee that the actions by the United States will not be repeated. That IAEA will certainly not get footage from those cameras. In the past, they would get them automatically, not online, but automatically. But now it is clear that they won't get a footage as long as the United States has not come back to full implementation of its agreement. We just saw that the IAEA is not officially releasing, but leaking information that is supposed to be confidential. Anything between us and the IAEA, based on IAEA statute, should remain confidential. Confidentiality is a requirement. Otherwise, no country would allow IAEA to inspect their sites. Some of them may have security ramifications. For Iran, whose peaceful nuclear sites have been attacked, most recently in Natanz, and in other places. For a country whose nuclear scientists have been murdered in terrorist operations in the past, and now recently with Mr. Fakhrizade, confidentiality is essential. The problem in the United States, and it doesn't matter which administration, the Islamic Republic now has dealt with 7 consecutive US presidents, and I have dealt with almost 5 of them. And the problem is, US is addicted to sanctions. US is addicted to pressure. US is addicted to bullying. And time and again, it may work some other places. It doesn't work in a country with millennia of history. Not just a millennium, millennia of history. They should accept that with Iran, bullying doesn't work. Pressure doesn't work. Maximum pressure, according to them, led to maximum failure. Compensation is going to be a part of our conversations after U.S. return to JCPOA. We have lost about $1,000 billion, $1 trillion, at least directly and indirectly because of imposition of U.S. sanctions since 2018. My problem is that President Biden is pursuing the same policy, not Obama policy. He is pursuing Trump policy. He has not allowed Iran to purchase food and medicine. President Biden, his Treasury Secretary, his Secretary of State are responsible for the fact that Iranian people dying from COVID cannot get the vaccine, cannot get the medicine. When President Trump withdrew from JCPOA, we had 300 kilograms of enriched uranium. When President Biden came to office, we had 3,800 kilograms of enriched uranium. Today, probably we have 4,000 kilograms. In May, in June, probably we will have 5,000 kilograms. When President Biden came to office, we had no 20% enriched. Today, we have 22 kilograms of enriched, 20% enriched. In 2 months, we will have 42 kilograms, 52 kilograms. We're not threatening anybody. We are simply exercising the remedial measures foreseen in the JCPOA. It's not nuclear extortion. What you are engaged in is extortion. You're extorting our money, our own money. We are simply implementing our right. We got what we wanted out of JCPOA.
What?
End of Security Council resolutions, end of US lies about our nuclear program. You know, they had deprived Iran from the right to enrich uranium. Now they have recognized our right to enrich uranium in a Security Council resolution. So the United States must know that Iran got what it needed from JCPOA. We don't need to leave JCPOA. We have the right within JCPOA not to observe anything. It says if they do not observe, we have the right to stop totally or partially. We are still in the partial phase. We can be total. We are still in the partial. Our Arab neighbors believe in buying security. You tried your best to bring Trump to fight your war for you. That is to fight with Iran. They wanted to fight with Iran until the last American soldier. Did Trump fight Iran? He's now gone. Now you go to Israel. You believe, I mean, does UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and others believe that Netanyahu, who cannot prevent himself from going to prison, can protect them? I mean, this mentality that you can buy security from outside must end. It doesn't work. Netanyahu, the only thing Netanyahu will do for you is to bring the war to your territory instead of protect you from war. We don't intend to have war with you. Iran is ready, without precondition, to sit down and talk to all of them.